Hello, I'm Aaron Zach, and welcome to Reivers Insider Football Edition. Today we're going to talk about the upcoming season for the Iowa Western football team. In 2008, Iowa Western began something that nobody thought would have so much success in such a short amount of time. A football program. Well, head coach Scott Strohmeyer took that challenge, and in just 4 years, he won the 2012 National Championship. The next year, he was runner-up for first place. So the question is, what's next for Coach Strohmeyer and his high-powered team? We'll find out when we come back. I'm joined here by the Iowa Western men's football coach, Scott Strohmeyer. Scott, thank you for joining me today.
It's always a pleasure.
First things first, I guess everyone wants to know, how's spring practice going?
Well, spring's going, pretty good. I think the big thing is you're always it's a big evaluation period, and we got a lot of guys, almost 100 guys out there practicing, and weather's could cooperate maybe a little bit better, but we're getting our practices in.
How do you think your offense is turning out to be this coming season? Are you looking for high hopes of last year, or what's your expectations there?
Yeah, I think right now in the spring we're more athletic than we were, last year at some positions. I really think we got some quality wide receivers in the spring that can, make a big catch or make a catch and make it into a big play. Losing 5 offensive linemen starters from last year, really 4.5, with Zach Gillis, who started some last year. That's really the group in the spring that we're trying to get to develop, to see where we stand. Quarterback battles, but in tailback, we lose our tailback in Akis Teague, and so we'll see if someone can step up from that standpoint as well. But our expectations aren't going to change. We're going to play fast. We want to score a lot of points. And I think we got the players right now that we can be pretty successful offensively.
You lost some key players on the offensive line, and you also gained a lot of new players on the offensive line. So, it's going to you rebounded quite well, to be honest.
We did, and that's always the biggest concern going into spring, is where you're at, up front, and to lose really 5, 6 guys on the 4-year schools is a drastic blow. But we do have some guys who have some game experience, a little bit of game experience last year, which helps. And then you filter in a couple other guys, and then we had as big of a signing group on the offensive line as we've ever had. So it's going to be exciting. Like I said, spring ball, they're going to come out of it, and there's going to be a depth chart, but there's over 100 coming in August 1st. That depth chart now is out, and it's open competition again.
Let's talk about the defense a little bit. You lost some key players again on the line, and then the defensive backs and the safeties. Talk about each position and how you expect them to grow this year.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've played really good defense, and credit to, our staff and getting those kids ready to go. And when you're even offensively, you lose all those. I think we lose 20 starters off of last year's team. But the defensive line, there's some holes after last season, but we brought in some transfer help and some kids developing. They're coming along. We still got a little work to do there, but they're playing well, and I think we have some guys who can play there. The linebacking core is we have a couple guys who played a lot for us last year, and Anthony Brown and Marcus Montgomery, and so they got some game experience, and then with some of our younger guys developing as well, should be interesting. The secondary is probably one of our stronger. I think we got 6, 7 guys, 8 guys potentially that could play for. So there's obviously some heated competition or battles in the spring, but there'll even be more in the fall, and be exciting to see how that all plays out with some transfers, and then some key group or kids that we had in the program last year, and then also red shirts.
Well, I sure hope you guys have a good time. You got the new schedule now, a new conference, not as much traveling not as much traveling. How does that feel?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's going to be nice to know that 6 weeks out of the season that I'll be able to sleep in my own bed, But like I said, it's exciting, and we had to do it last year just the way it worked out. But it is nice to be able to come be playing at home in front of our fans, and we got great support here, so it's always nice. The kids like playing at home in front of their family and friends and anybody else. So, and we have the big ones at home. You know, the big dogs in the Kansas Conference. They got to come here this next year, so that'll be good.
Well, Coach, I wish you the best of luck, not only in practice, but the spring game, which is on May 2nd, I believe. Is that correct?
Yep, 6 p.m.
6 p.m. I hope you guys have a tremendous season. So.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for doing this for me, Coach. Coming up next, we will talk to the younger Strohmeyer on his thoughts. We'll be right back.
What does the world have in store for you? It's all here. Iowa Western. The world is waiting.
Here joining me now is the younger brother of Scott Strohmeyer, Mike Strohmeyer. Thank you for joining me today.
Not a problem. Pleasure to be here.
Let's talk about the offense for a little bit. Your wide receiving core is pretty solid this year. Talk about that.
We return two guys that basically played for us. We're going to be young. We're a little inexperienced right now. We have Alex Reed from Louis Central. We have who's had a really good spring. We're expecting a lot of things out of him. Malcolm Moore, he played for us last year. He's out of Minnetonka, Minnesota. We added some transfers. We had some guys that redshirted that I think they're coming along a little bit. So we have a lot of players right now. We're going to expect them guys to progress through spring. And then we're going to expect a lot of freshmen to come and compete.
How has it been the position battles going so far between the quarterbacks, the wide receivers, the running backs? How's everything going on that?
One thing we always stress is, I stress a lot too, is no job is ever won in spring. We're never going to say at the end of spring ball, okay, so-and-so is our starting quarterback or our starting running back. But there are jobs that are lost. So if a kid, consistently shows that he doesn't know what he's doing or can't make plays or he doesn't do things right, off the field by attending classes, study halls, etc. So kids can lose jobs in the spring. No one necessarily wins them. We want competition, and every incoming freshman will compete for a starting job. Even if we returned 11 starters on offense, all 11 of them would know that come August 1st, they're competing. In the recruiting process, it's awesome. You can tell every freshman or every incoming kid that and when you come in, it doesn't matter what we have, you will compete for a starting spot. But then again, for our returners, they worked hard in the off season, and now they have to do it again in August.
Did you say that going to a junior college first would help the player tremendously going to like Iowa State, Nebraska, play better? I mean, case in point, Jake Waters. Yeah. I mean, would you say it's a good starting point for young athletes?
I think it's for a kid that's not getting exposure. It's an awesome route. Our guys will get exposed to, not only the Iowa State and Nebraska and Iowa, but our guys will get recruited nationally. Whereas it's not feasible for every Division I school in the country to recruit every single high school in the country. But if they have a specific need and they're going to recruit a junior college kid, they can recruit every junior college in the country. There's 160 plus. And just so happens we're one of the best ones. So our guys do get recruited. As far as playing, there is a huge transition from high school to Division I football. You'll see it, not many true freshmen go to the University of Nebraska or Iowa or Florida or wherever and play as 18-year-old freshmen. But even, Jake says when we visited Kansas State this past weekend, this spring for him is so much different than last spring, because everything was so much faster and so much different last spring, and now he's just he's sort of taking it in stride. He knows the offense, he knows what's expected. So there still is that transition, just not as severe.
Obviously, there's a difference between talents from the national championship team and this year's team. Talk about the difference in what you see in the incoming crew or recruits this year to get back to the national championship.
The 2012 year, we knew we were going to be really special. I mean, we were returning, 4 starting O-linemen and a kid that had started games. Returned, Jake Waters, an All-American quarterback. We had our leading receiver returning, and then we added, Dion Long and Martez Barr, and we returned Aaron Wimberly, an All-American. Offensively, it was. I looked back, and we have, off that team, 22 players will be playing college football next year, and I think 14 or 16 of them will be playing Division I football. So we were really talented. We weren't expecting a lot of freshmen to play. We ended up with, that year, 2 true freshmen that played on our offense. So we knew what we had returning was really, really special. This year, I think we do have the pieces for returners. We have a great core, but we're going to expect freshmen to play. And I think we have a really good incoming class of running backs, receivers, offensive linemen. We've only bringing in a few quarterbacks. So the guys that we have right now, and then the incoming guys will be competing as well. But I think our recruiting class is maybe a little stronger than the 2012 year, but we just returned so much more experience and so many more players in 2012.
All right, thank you, Coach, for joining me today.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Coming up next, the defensive coach is going to talk about his defensive side of the ball, so stay with us. We'll be right back.
So, I got this new family, and I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy. Oh, and she even talks to it. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
Here joining me now is the defensive coordinator. Thank you for joining me today.
No problem.
Let's talk about the defense a little bit. You all lost some key players on the line, so let's talk about that first.
Well, just like any team, every year that's what we really look at, is just kind of our defensive front, and those are the guys that they get it done for us. So it's very important that we go out and we try and find the best guys that we possibly can, and in what we do, 4-3 scheme. They're very, very important to what we do, and they make life a lot easier on the rest of our guys that are out on the field. But we'll get a lot of answers, and big thing, got to keep guys healthy. Here going through, we're about halfway through spring right now, but they've been progressing, which I'm very pleased with. So.
You had a great offseason when it comes to recruitment. Is this would you say this is one of your best recruiting classes?
It is, and it's still a work in progress. We get, there's going to be some guys that stumble upon us here, in the next month or so that the kid may transfer in here. So that's the nice thing that with building up the reputation, that we've created here. It's people starting to know about Iowa Western, and the 4-year schools, they know quite a bit about what we've established here, and so we've got a strong tradition already built just here in the 5 years, and so we've had sent a lot of guys on, so that definitely helps us in recruitment. And there's, like I said, there's going to be guys that we feel young, and then we just got to remember that we only got freshmen and sophomore kids, but so we will be young at a lot of spots, and I should say inexperienced at a lot of spots, but we're going to get some pretty talented kids, and then it's up to us as coaches to get them coached up and get them in the right positions, and let them go out there and do what we've seen on film from a lot of out of their high school or their college that they've already been at. So.
Do you see every year you have a great defensive core. Do you feel like you have the same core as you did when you won the national championship?
It's. I feel really good about it. We do. The thing that I think we've gotten to ourselves too is just the expectation. The guys know what's expected of them when they step foot on campus here at Iowa Western. You only get one opportunity. You want to make the most of it. But our core, I feel, like I said, we got some inexperienced guys. But when we were back in 2012, we had some inexperienced guys as well, some new faces come in, so it was kind of an unknown. So they know. I feel pretty good about where the defense. Just the biggest thing for me is just to make sure that they're progressing, because we'll get to that point. We'll get there, but it's not going to happen overnight, and but they're getting there. So I'm proud of them. So.
Well, hopefully you guys will start bringing the hammer down on the new conference and get yourself another national title.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll take it a week at a time, and that's all we can do. Keep working, but that's our goal. So.
All right, Coach. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Coming up next, after our quick commercial break, we're going to get an inside look at the players and what they think about the upcoming season. Stay with us. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
Bethany Ann Doak, Ian Donnelly, Kirsty Lynn Duthit,
Thank you for coming back to our show. Right now, I am joined by the star quarterback of the Iowa Western Reivers football team, Tay Bender. Thank you for joining me today, Tay.
No problem.
So, first question is, how are you feeling? Are you healthy? Are you getting in the weight room, anything like that?
Oh yeah, everything's going well. Almost finishing with spring ball. Arms feeling good, legs are feeling fine, so I think everything is well so far.
How's practice going?
It's going well. We have, I think, a week and a half left to our spring game, May 2nd. Everything's going fine. We're making progress. We've improved since day one, so that's what's important.
Are you seeing any other competition in your spot that's from the new recruits?
I mean, no matter, regardless whether you're the starter or you're the second string, third string, you're always competing. No spot's ever guaranteed, regardless if you've been here before, you've been in the system or not. You gotta always compete. You can never be satisfied with anything, to be honest.
What have you done so far in the off season to get mentally and physically prepared for this upcoming season?
Watching film, weight room, winter conditioning. Staying above, being above par is the way I put it. Keeping with mental reps. Even though you're not on the field, you can still get the mental reps with watching film. With the guys, getting a group together and going over just little things. So when it comes to season or for per se spring ball, we're ready to go.
How much leadership do you feel like you have on your shoulders being a second year here?
I mean, it's definitely, it's pressure, but that's why I play quarterback. I love the pressure. I love having my guys behind me. At the same time, I know they have my back and they know I have their back. So I mean, it's a great feeling, and I'm really excited to get the season going.
Well, speaking of games, you guys are in a new conference now. Could I get your thoughts on what you think or what you're feeling about this?
I mean, I think it's great for us, last year going 11-1, being 10 points shy of winning a championship again. I think it's a great transition. I don't know much about the teams yet. I know I will when the season comes around, but, it's a new start, fresh start for, this coaching staff and fresh start for us, so I think we're all excited.
In your experience here at Iowa Western, would you say this would be a good starting point for young athletes to start in junior college and then work their way up to Division I?
I mean, it's kind of however you take it. As for myself, getting out of high school, going to Division I to coming back here, I mean, it's a humbling experience. Seeing the best and then coming back. But for anybody, I've definitely matured here a lot. I like my decision here. I like it here at Iowa Western, and I appreciate everything that they've done for me to this point.
How excited are you for May 2nd?
I'm counting down the days.
All right, man. Well, I thank you so much. I appreciate you coming.
I appreciate it.
Coming up next, Tay Bender's teammate, actually his running back, is going to be up next, and I'll get his thoughts on his upcoming season. We'll be right back.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. Stop the texts. Stop the wrecks. Visit us at stoptextstoprex.org.
Welcome back. I'm here now joined and honored to be here with Alex Reed, the running back for Iowa Western. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So let's talk about the upcoming season, your health, the status of how many records you want to break this season. First of all, let's talk about your health. How are you feeling mentally or physically like that?
Mentally, I'm feeling good. After going through all fall, going through the playbook, I mean, the spring has been relatively a breeze. And physically, I feel as good as ever after the winter conditioning that we went through. All the early morning workouts and mat drills and all that fun stuff. My body's in the best shape it's ever been in.
Let's talk about your offensive line now. Do you see any improvement from last year with the new recruits coming in?
Oh, well, these guys, like Tay said, these guys are dogs. I mean, these guys might not be the biggest guys out there, but they play hard and they do their responsibilities. And, I mean, it's not necessarily the size of the dog, it's the fight in the dog. So, I mean, these guys are good.
Do you feel like you have more leadership now on the team, being that it's your second season?
Oh, yeah, I think I do. Might have been just forced on me, not necessarily forced on me, but just granted to me by moving up to the number ones. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I have a pretty good leadership role on this team, and hopefully I carry it out.
How excited are you for May 2nd to come?
May 2nd, that's the day that we've all got circled on our calendars. I mean, all of the winter conditioning workouts and the spring practices, early morning practices, all leading up to May 2nd for that spring game, and we're excited.
Do you see any competition in your position with the new recruits?
Oh yeah, there's competition all over the place, and that's the great thing about it. If you don't show up to work one day, someone's going to pass you. And as competitors, we don't want anybody passing us, so we're going to give it our all every day.
You're in a new conference now. Could I get your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the Jayhawk conference is a pretty tough conference. I mean, there are not going to be any easy games this year, so to speak. So I think that'll really be beneficial to us as a team and me as an individual player. Seeing the best week in and week out, it's only going to prepare me more for the next level if I'm fortunate enough to get there.
Well, speaking of perfection, how many records are you planning on breaking this year?
Oh, man, I don't have much time to think about that, unfortunately. But, no, I'm just going to go out there and do my part for the team and, you know, hopefully just get the W's.
Well, May 2nd, your spring game is coming up quick, and I wish you all the best of luck in your season, in your upcoming season, and your future endeavors.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Coming up next, I'm going to talk to you the king of the field goal kickers. Coming up next.
For those dealing with the daily struggles of caring for a loved one, we hear you. That's why AARP created a community with experts and other caregivers to help us better care for ourselves and the ones we love.
Welcome back to the show. I am joined right now by what many would consider, especially on his teammates, the king of the field goals, Danny Hamilton. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about one thing first. How's the leg?
The leg's feeling great. I went through winter conditioning and lifting. It's actually the first time I've actually stuck with the lifting, so it's feeling great, a lot stronger. Should be able to kick the ball a lot farther this season.
How far are you saying? Like half 50-yard line?
Yeah, I don't know. Last spring game, I was able to hit a 57-yarder, so we'll see if the coaches let me try something like that again this year.
What are you looking forward most this year?
I'm just looking forward to being on the season again. Don't get me wrong, I like going to spring practice and stuff, but there's nothing like being in season and traveling every weekend and just being on the bus with your teammates and whatnot.
How has the competition been going in your position, kicking-wise, with the new recruits?
Actually, right now I'm the only kicker on the team, but in the fall we'll be having more coming in, so I'm just focusing on trying to get myself in a position to be viewed as the starter coming into fall, and then getting ready to keep that position as we go through the fall camp.
Here, let's talk about your special teams now. You lost some key players. Recruiting-wise, how's your line looking?
The line looks good. Like Alex said, a lot of the guys were here. They might not have played, but they know the system. They know what they're doing. They were behind the guys of last year, and they're ready to step in and fill the shoes. Do you see any difference between last year's team and this year's team? Just, different faces. We're going to be stronger in different points of offense and defense, obviously, but I feel like we'll be just as strong, if not stronger, than last year.
All right. Danny, thank you for coming in. Coming up after the break, we're going to talk about the schedule. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
So, I got this new family, and I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy. Oh, and she even talks to it. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
Welcome back to Reivers Insider. I'm joined by the offensive line coach, Donnie Woods. Thank you, Coach, for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Coach, I know you're the offensive line coach and you're an expert at that and getting the players ready to play a good game. But today I want to talk to you about the season schedule and the new schedule and the Jayhawk Conference. So taking a look at the schedule, there's 3 games here that I think are going to be tough for you guys. You have the Hutchinson team, who is 9-4, and then you have Dodge City, who's 6-4, and then always Butler. They're always going to give you a headache. So if I could just get your thoughts on that.
Well, I think, right from the bat, we're going to be challenged. I know you highlighted those 3, but I think Coffeyville is going to be a true test for our guys. But that's always good to kind of see where we're at week 1. And that's going to roll right into Butler. And I think if you can beat a team like Butler, you're going to have a great chance of doing extremely well the rest of the way. So I think those first 2 right off the bat are going to be tough. But that's going to kind of, outline, I think, how our guys are going to prepare themselves mentally for the rest of the season.
So what do you think about Butler? I mean, they've always given you a headache. Is there anything different that's going to give you any edge to this year's team?
I don't think so. I think, 2 years ago, it was a question about how we would stack up against them. But I think going 2-0 in the last 2 years against them, I don't foresee us being scared. I don't foresee us being worried. I think it's going to be a good matchup.
So besides the other teams, you mentioned Coffeyville. What about Highland and Garden City and Independence?
Yep. They're, I would say, a middle of the tier of Jayhawk team. But I also think that, at any given time, Highland, who was, struggled 2 years ago, came back with a great team last year, ended up beating Butler in the regular season game and made it to their conference playoffs. So I think any of those schools have an opportunity to be good every single year. And that's why we're excited to play this non-conference schedule this year, because every single week we will be challenged.
Well, and the good thing is you still have conference teams that you played last year. Looking back at the schedule, you have Ellsworth and College of DuPage and Iowa Central, the always rivalry game there.
Yep. Ellsworth is, obviously they have a new head coach this year, so we're not sure what to expect from them. College of DuPage, who's no longer in our conference anymore, is going to give us a tough non-conference game as well. But then you look at Iowa Central, who in the years past haven't been as great, and I think we'll do just fine against them.
All right. Thank you, Coach, for being here today.
Thank you.
Coming up after the break, we'll show you some highlights of the blue and white football game. We'll be right back.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. Stop the texts. Stop the wrecks. Visit us at stoptextstoprex.org.
Well, it's that time again where we're at the end of our show, and I would like to leave you with a simple question. Are you ready? Are you ready for some Reivers football? I know I am, and I absolutely cannot wait until that time of season draws upon us again. I'm Aaron Zach, and I'll see you around. And remember, go Reivers!